coming across you at the conference and hearing your talk, I was inspired by two things: how you use the internet for the very things I was interested in, and secondly, that you use open source technology and that you have a low marginal cost operation. So once you produce something, it can be spread around, and many copies can be disseminated at low cost, extra cost from the original production costs. So this is really interesting.
Yeah, I mean that's quite an interesting point though, and it's not quite worked out as we'd expected it to. Yeah. I mean, one of the difficulties, you can create software and people can have, say, a mobile phone, a smartphone,
yeah,
but helping them use it to do mobile field surveys, say in a slum, is a whole different game altogether. So there's no zero cost element to getting people used to that, and often you have to, they need to be trained.
Yeah.
One of the things that's become really clear as Acvo Flow has developed is that once you put into people's hands the ability to do mobile phone based surveys, the main thing it highlights is how most people don't know how to ask the right questions. So suddenly we found ourselves in a business where we're sitting going, well, actually maybe we should be focusing on helping people work out how to ask the right questions. Yeah. And how much is that our challenge versus how much is that something that others should take on?
Yes, because one thing that really, hearing you both speak about this a few minutes ago, that really struck me was how one of the themes that's coming out of any innovation studies, for the last 30 years or more, is the role of networking as part of innovation. And if you take it in organisations, the skunk works because they were near a skunk farm or something.
Lockheed, that stuff in the States.
And how they invented post-its and that sort of thing. They actually were a network which were diagonal across the organisation. Yeah. Were not the top people either.
Yeah.
So top people could sponsor it, and then you have really the key people in the middle and lower. So that's, if you like, a model of really how societies innovate too. Then in a sense you've got all these levels, and you go across disciplines, across functions, across actor groups and societies, with technology, science, government, business and industry, economy, and community at large. All these, and media, you have all these different parts of society. So it's actually how that crisscrossing works over time. And I came across some really good works a good study by a man called Giels, or Heels, he's Dutch and he's now at the University of Manchester, on transitions towards sustainability. And he actually just looked at transitions initially from, like a propeller aircraft to jet aircraft, and how that happened over 30 years and so on. So that was the history side of me really interested in that, and how it's now being applied to modern, history as it's emerging. So what I'm looking at is taking a story and seeing how it emerges from time to time.
Yeah.
Your networking is very interesting, and how you actually enable networks to work. And what you've just been saying, there's actually some trainings involved to actually help people to participate in a learning network using modern technology, which is very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we have, one aspect of the international development field. There is an aspect to it as well, which is there's a post-colonial agenda at play.
Yeah.
And I'm always aware of that. And a lot of the post-colonial, a lot of NGO structures are built around old missionary style activity as well. And I'm always aware of that as well.
Yeah.
And I'm not convinced that either of those structures is really what is going to be key to getting us from 2014 to 2065, as I said.
Yeah.
But neither do some of the centralised government philosophies that have sort of that can just be critical. I mean, what is a 21st century African government really going to look like a successful one? And we're all making sense of that together at the moment. But I think we're a long way from understanding it. I mean, we'll look back one day and we'll be able to go, oh, that really worked. That worked. But what kinds of tools and systems and structures and organising principles will people work to?
Yeah.
And how much of that will be driven from the centre
Yeah.
versus how much of that will be driven from the edges?
Well, I think one of the words that keeps coming up, and the themes that keeps coming up in things I'm coming into touch with is hybrid or mix. So you need mixed forms of organising, network organising, virtual teams that you're clearly a member of in the organisation. Your organisation is made up of virtual teams. And you enable networking to happen between people.
Yeah.
And you try and get the people who need to come together. And to do that, you need to be able to see links in the system. Society and nature are both systems, of course, and complex systems. And so complex systems theory is one of the guiding theories I sort of call back on in looking at actual practical examples. So people need to learn how to see links. It's what needs to come together. And it can be a very practical, simple thing, like, how to get, a city car business going. Which we had 2 cars, we had 1, now we have no car.
Yeah.
But to enable that to happen, we happen to have very good transport where we are, public transport, which helps a lot.
Yeah.
And we have to have mobile phones, internet, and computers in cars, and all that sort of thing. So we can walk 5 minutes away, get in our car and drive off, and book it online and everything. And if we break down somewhere, we can mobile phone and off we go. So, that's a lot of things come together to enable that to happen.
Yeah.
Different technologies come together, different people come together, different sectors of society and so on.
Different way of looking at things and different way of working as well.
Yeah. And that's where the social technical side comes together, social and technical together.